Olson. I'm the Director of Communication for the City of Corpus Christi. We do appreciate you coming this morning as we provide an update on Corpus Christi's water supply initiatives. Our top priority is to keep the public informed with clear and accurate information as these projects move forward. This morning we'll start with a progress report on recent developments and key milestones. A summary of these updates will then be provided in Spanish, and afterward we will open the floor for questions from the media. Please do note that we will not be taking questions after the briefing this morning, so we do encourage you to ask your questions during the Q&A portion. And with that, please allow me to introduce Mr. Nick Winkleman, the COO of Corpus Christi Water.
Thank you and good morning. I'm Nick Winkleman, Chief Operating Officer of Corpus Christi Water. So the first thing we'd like to do today is continue to thank our media partners for being here. We have Drew Bishop of Chris 6. Thanks for being here, Drew. Michael Salazar is here as well. Sean Merritt and Preston West. Preston's from KIII. Thank you for all being here today. First thing I'd like to start out with is just want to discuss our appreciation of all of our customers. Those include, of course, our residential customers, commercial customers, wholesale, and the large users. Largely today, I'd like to definitely thank the residential customers. Over the last couple of years, they've made tremendous efforts to reduce their water usage. They have followed our drought contingency plans. They have followed recommendations that the city has made, and we've seen a marked reduction in their water usage. Today, the average residential customer uses below what the allocation might be, which means that our residential customers largely will not have to make any adjustments. And we're pleased with that and very pleased with the effort and the support. Additionally, I'd like to just point out the innovation our residents have. They're utilizing rain barrels, they're utilizing air conditioner condensate, and they're utilizing other creative methods to capture water that they can use at their house. We're thankful for that. The next thing I'd like to do is to give you a status update on our surface water sources. Today, Choke Canyon Reservoir is currently at 7.3%. Lake Corpus Christi is 8.7%. That results in a combined capacity of 7.7%. Lake Texana is currently at 66%. We've seen definite benefit in Lake Texana with the recent beneficial rains, and we're hopeful that recent rains last night and potentially over the weekend will continue to benefit those surface water sources. The other surface water source that we'd like to talk about, we need to talk about, is the Lower Colorado River. Currently, there are no restrictions from the river, so the city continues to take its full allocated amount from the Lower Colorado River. If we can move on to groundwater. There was a preliminary hearing this week regarding the Evangeline groundwater project. That hearing was planned and scheduled by the San Patricio Groundwater Conservation District. It occurred on April 28th. The Honorable Alicia Franklin York presided over the preliminary hearing. So the purpose of the preliminary hearing was to determine if any or which of the three protestants have standing in regards to their protest on our drilling and transport permits. The hearing was concluded, and the judge has stated that she would give us her opinion in 10 business days. That would be May 12th. So we're hopeful her opinion comes in earlier than that, but 10 business days from April 28th would be May 12th. We're going to closely monitor this situation and continue to update the community, our council, and all of our customers of any results or any determination made by the judge. The work on that project continues. We have pipe, water line being delivered to the site currently, and we have pipeline crews scheduled to be on site next week. Additional other construction is starting to take place on the site as well. If we could talk about our other groundwater program, which is the one in Nueces County. The Eastern Wellfield continues to operate in full compliance of the monitoring plan. We're producing approximately 4.5 million gallons a day on average. The Western Wellfield, we currently have 7 wells online. It's producing an average of 8.5 million gallons a day. And the 8th well is expected to come online within the next couple of days. Currently in the Western Wellfield, there are 5 wells being powered by permanent electric. 2 wells are powered by temporary generators. And we're working with our electric provider, NEC, as they continue to make upgrades to fully power that wellfield on electric. Additionally, construction and drilling operations continue on the Western Wellfield associated with the 4 additional planned wells for the original 250 acres. As part of this project, and all of you know, is brackish groundwater treatment. Serious efforts are being made by a number of our design engineers and our treatment partners. We met with Aqualia last night, and they are making great progress on finishing design and working towards the delivery of the first units for the brackish groundwater treatment. We do expect to accept the first delivery of the treatment equipment early in calendar year 2027. One of the largest things that's going on right now is our conveyance line from the Western Wellfield to the Owen Stevens plant. Designs are currently being finalized, and we will be working with multiple contractors to ensure that that water line is installed as efficient as possible. CCW and city staff continue to work closely with our area partners. As you know, we have an agreement with Nueces County WCID number 3. The interconnect, which would connect their water system and allow it to access water from the city of Corpus Christi from CCW operations, is almost complete. We're taking the required bacteriological samples yesterday and today, and we're hoping to have that interconnect fully functional at some point early next week. The effort there is a great example of how we continue to work with our area partners in conjunction with them, and I do want to remind everyone, the CCW crews, and we're very proud of them, did a lion's share of the work to make that interconnect happen as quickly as possible. The other work that we're very excited about and that will help the city in this drought of record is our reclaimed and wastewater reuse efforts. The reason that this is so important is the use of our reclaimed water by our large customers will in effect reduce our water supply demand. It'll lower that curve, which is critical to all of us. We're working with our design partner, Ardura Engineering. They are moving very fast. They're approximately 60% design on the conveyance that will convey approximately 10 million gallons of wastewater from the Oso wastewater treatment plant to the Greenwood wastewater treatment plant. In essence, that makes that water available to other large customers. As you know, the city has current contracts with both Valero and Citgo. Those are agreements that they will utilize wastewater effluent in lieu of potable water. Critical projects for the city that will benefit this community for years to come. The total amount of wastewater effluent that we are planning to utilize is approximately 16 million gallons a day, and we are working with different partners to ensure that that can be utilized as soon as possible. If I could talk to seawater desalination. CCW and city staff continue to work with the Corpus Christi desal partners to develop and prepare a contract. We're targeting to take that contract to council for consideration on June 2nd. Work continues to ensure that that contract is developed and is ready by that time. Additional efforts include the Harbor Island desalination plant. I do want to remind everyone that is the Nueces River Authority project. The city of Corpus Christi has contributed to that project in the form of a reservation fee. That project currently has its a draft intake permit from TCEQ. It also has a draft discharge permit from TCEQ. A public meeting will be held on the discharge permit on May 27th at the Ortiz Center. Again, CCW continues to work with our partner, the Nueces River Authority, to better understand the timeline for those permits and for the project as a whole. The Wellfield committee meeting continues. We had another meeting last week. Our next meeting is May 7th, which is next week, followed by May 21st and May 28th. The modelers continue to work in an expedited fashion, utilizing the data and the information that the committee continues to provide. The input has been phenomenal. We're very pleased with the work of the committee, and we're definitely pleased with the hard work of the modeling team as well. This Wellfield information will be presented also at the June 2nd council meeting. Another project that you may have heard of is the CC Polymers project through Aquatech. City staff continues to meet with Aquatech to better understand their business plan and proposal. We do have an upcoming meeting next week that has been scheduled. We've also met with leadership from CPS Energy regarding a potential desalination plant at the Barney Davis site. CPS Energy has renewed their commitment to collaborate with the city on a future project at that site. One thing I just want to reiterate at this time, and we've talked through it, but if you look at surface water, groundwater, seawater, and effluent, that is our strategic plan to diversify the water supply portfolio of the city and Corpus Christi water. That strategic plan makes the water supply sustainable and makes it the basis for future generations in the continued growth of our city. During this week, we met with council. We had a council meeting at which time we explained the baseline methodologies and the proposed allocations for each of our customer classes. This was following two separate council workshops where we explained the same information as well. The council workshops originally occurred on March 31st and April 24th. At that time, at the time of this week's meeting, our council elected to postpone any action on that. We are committed to continue to work with all of our council members, and we'll do so over the next week. The goal, of course, will be continue to recognize all of the hard work that has been done by our residential customers and ensure that our council is comfortable with the plan going forward. Community stakeholder and engagement is very critical. The city continues its great efforts in terms of communications to all of our stakeholders and our partners. Just this week, we met with area hoteliers and to better explain our drought dashboard and the projections for level 1 water emergency. Those hoteliers, along with Visit Corpus Christi, had great questions, and it's wonderful to take all the questions from the different stakeholders within our community. The biggest point that they continue to make is to better understand baselines and what they will have to work towards in the event we do get into a level 1 water emergency. One thing I do want to underscore that when we talk about allocations and baselines, they are not in effect until we go into a level 1 water emergency. And CCW and city staff continue to work every single day to ensure that we don't go into level 1 water emergency.
Looking at the Trump family is what we know now, and just as a TV brand, I think it's funny they think they can just swapsies. It took a unique character that could be mean and a little like people were like, "Whoa, we just didn't know that would become the president." But it did work.
You're fired.
Yes, but you can't just because Don Jr. or whichever one it is carries the last name does not mean you just swap out Trumps like their cards. Like it doesn't work that way.
You're assuming that the reason they're doing this is because they wanted to succeed and they wanted to make money. I don't know that they gave Melania $40 million for that documentary.
More information about these input sessions will be forthcoming, and I do want to just let everyone know that those dates are subject to change as we continue to work through developing and ensuring that we have the most accurate information as possible to share with our community. One of the things that I unfortunately, I have to bring up, but I do. It's very important that we understand where information is coming from to make sure it's actual and factual. There have been a number of media reports outside the city of Corpus Christi that have indicated in a couple of things that just simply aren't true. Those media reports include mandatory evacuation plans due to a water crisis. They include rolling water blackouts due to a water crisis. I'm here to emphatically state that that information isn't true. I would like everyone to continue to go to trusted sources for information. As always, the city has tremendous data and information and updates on its website. That is always the best place to go. The emergency protocols that we're all working on right now are all meant to ensure that this community is prepared for a potential level 1 water emergency. We know there's tremendous planning going on. We know there are tremendous outreach going on. We know there's tremendous efforts being made by all of our customers, including our residents, and we want to ensure that everyone has the most accurate information. That is why it's important that people understand where their information is coming from. Before I wrap up and we get to questions, I do want to talk about next week's events. We will continue to meet with our council members. We also have other stakeholder meetings set with our customers, various customer classes. The city manager and I will continue to meet and listen and work on our drought contingency efforts and our efforts for level 1 water emergency. And city staff continues to work on all of the efforts of the new water supply projects. We encourage the community to continue to provide input. We encourage people to continue to ask questions so that we can answer them. And I know speaking on behalf of Corpus Christi Water, and I appreciate the city manager, Peter Zanoni, being here today as well. And with that, Elisa, we'll turn it over to Gabby to provide the translation for us all, and then we'll stand by for questions.
Primero que nada, quiero agradecer a todas las personas, a los residentes que hacen lo posible por ahorrar agua y quienes continúan conservando agua, utilizando barriles para capturar agua de lluvia. En cuanto a la actualización del suministro de agua, el resumen del estado y de los proyectos. Los niveles actuales de los embalses se encuentran de la siguiente manera: Choke Canyon al 7.3%, el lago de Corpus Christi al 8.7% y la capacidad combinada están al 7.7%. El lago Texana se encuentra al 65%. En cuanto a las aguas subterráneas del proyecto Evangeline, el 28 de abril se celebró una audiencia preliminar con respecto a las objeciones de los permisos. La jueza York está revisando la legitimación activa de los opositores. Se espera un fallo en un plazo de 10 días hábiles o antes del 12 de mayo. Esa determinación se la vamos a hacer pública. En cuanto a las aguas subterráneas del condado de Nueces, los campos de pozos de la zona oriental están operando y produciendo 4.5 millones de galones por día. Los pozos de la zona occidental están produciendo 8.5 millones de galones por día. Son 7 pozos los que se encuentran en funcionamiento. Se espera que un 8º pozo entre en operación en varios días. 4 pozos adicionales estarán pronto bajo construcción. En cuanto a la osmosis reversa, el diseño ya está en curso. La línea de conducción debería estar terminada para diciembre del 2026 y la producción inicial de esta agua comenzará a principios del 2027. La interconexión con el servicio WCID número 3, la perforación de 16 pulgadas de tubería para esta conexión de emergencia finalizará el día de mañana, tras las pruebas correspondientes. El WCID número 3 podrá comenzar a extraer agua a partir de la próxima semana. Sobre el agua recuperada, la infraestructura para transportar 10 millones de galones desde la planta de Oso hasta Greenwood se encuentra en la fase de diseño. La construcción comenzará en septiembre del 2026. Los socios industriales, algunos de las refinerías locales, estarán agilizando sus propios proyectos de captación y purificación de este tipo de agua. Al utilizar esta agua recuperada nos da esa cantidad de agua para la ciudad y poder utilizar el agua correspondiente para tratarse y que sea potable. En cuanto a la desalinización de agua de mar, se están evaluando 4 posibles ubicaciones. Continuamos trabajando en permisos y con las agencias involucradas. Está previsto que el 2 de junio el Consejo Municipal vote sobre el contrato para el diseño del 60% del proyecto del Inner Harbor o Puerto Interior. Asimismo, se esperan para junio los resultados de la modelización del campo Wellfield. Asimismo, continuamos trabajando con CC Polymers, así como la planta CPS Barney Davis. Continuamos diversificando todas las alternativas con las que podamos contar para poder traer agua a nuestra región, desde agua de lagos, agua tratada por osmosis reversa, mantos acuíferos y agua recuperada. La emergencia hídrica de nivel 1, el 28 de abril el Consejo Municipal pospuso las votaciones sobre las metodologías de cálculo de consumo de base, los recortes del 25% en el consumo y las estructuras de recargo. Estos temas se volverán a considerar el 12 de mayo durante la Junta Regular del Concilio. Le recordamos que no entrará ninguna medida en vigor hasta que no se llegue a una emergencia por falta de agua. En cuanto a la participación comunitaria, el personal municipal se reunió recientemente con representantes del sector hotelero para analizar los posibles impactos comerciales. Las sesiones informativas públicas comenzarán el 11 de mayo en el Distrito 4 y van a continuar hasta septiembre, abarcando todos los distritos. Tendremos todas las juntas y fechas disponibles para el público. Queremos también corregir información errónea que ha sido publicada en diversos medios, en donde se afirma que la ciudad está planeando, entre otras cosas, cortes rotativos de agua o evacuaciones controladas. Estos reportes son completamente falsos. Queremos que los residentes continúen haciéndonos preguntas y que se encuentren informados.
Thank you, Gabby. We will now take questions from the media. Raise your hand and our staff will come over with a microphone so that the group can hear your question.
Morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Drew Bishop, Channel 6 News. I just want to start off and ask you, I think there's been a lot of discussion with residents, them versus wholesale industry customers. So my question for you is, Why are residents being curtailed? Is there a method where you could only curtail large volume or wholesale users? And if not, what is the statute in place that requires you to curtail all customers?
Yeah, thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. So it's important to, I've got a couple of comments for that, but it's important to understand that Texas Water Code requires that if implemented, allocations are applied equally across all customers. So that's why that curtailment percentage has to be the same. The fact of the matter is that currently our residential users are averaging about 4,500 gallons per month, which is less than the projected allocation percentages. It's important to note that the residential customers, because of their voluntary efforts, they are on average already there. And then also, if you go back to one of the slides in my presentation last week and the week before, you can see that the required amount of demand that we have to reduce by, it's projected that zero of it is coming from the residential customers. It's largely coming from the large users in our system.
So my follow-up for that is, if our average is below that threshold, we heard at public comment on Tuesday, a mother with a family who said, hey, 8,000, 10,000. What's stopping you guys from raising the baseline of 7,000 to accommodate some of those larger families? Since your average is already hitting below that threshold that you want to see, what's stopping you from raising the baseline to maybe 8,000, 9,000 to accommodate some of those larger families and households?
So what we want to do is continue with the process. The process is for specific users who require more water to file a variance. We are working on improving that process and ensuring that is effective and efficient. To artificially raise a baseline across what eventually would be all customer classes would potentially have an issue, because you may have to increase curtailment percentage. It doesn't make sense to artificially raise a number. We know where we need to hit. We know where the averages are for the system to remain stable in the event we get to a level 1 water emergency. The process itself is the way that all of our customers can request a variance and move forward.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Sean Merritt for the Corpus Christi Citizen, and I want to thank you all for having me here today. Question one, and I've only got two for you. You just stated allocations must be applied evenly across all users. Residents are facing surcharges, fines, and potential shutoffs. What equivalent enforcement or reductions are being applied to the largest users, which would be industry?
Sure, Sean. So as I stated earlier, our residential users have advanced and are already utilizing less water in the system. They're already below a potential allocation mark, which of course has not been approved yet. The allocations, and we went through that in depth at council, are throughout all customer classes. Essentially, you've got the large volume users, the wholesale customers, commercial as well. Those allocations and restrictions were shown on Tuesday, and all of those classes are also working on efforts to ensure that they can meet those numbers. We continue to work with every one of our customer classes.
Thank you for that, Nick. Final question, and this has to do with the Wellfield. Advisory committee scientists and independent experts from UT and Texas A&M have said that the model may be fundamentally flawed. Why move forward on this timeline? And will there be independent peer review before any final decisions? If not, why not?
Sure. So it's important to understand that the latest Wellfield effort, there's been previously conducted before. We included the input of the Wellfield committee. That committee was involved in setting the scope of the modeler, and they also helped to select the modeler. In fact, it was both the Farfield committee and city staff, both in their analysis of the presented proposals, they both agreed that selected modeler was the best and most qualified. It's important to let that modeler continue to do their work. The work is not yet completed. We need to make sure that that gets done as efficiently as possible and as thoroughly as possible. I feel strongly that that is what the modeler is doing, along with the input of the committee.
Preston West, Channel 3 News, and I'm asking this question for one of our senior reporters, Bill Churchwell, and he would like to know, will the increase in Lakes Texana push back the projected date for a level 1 water emergency?
So we are, and we continue to monitor beneficial rainfall, both in our watershed and the Lake Texana watershed. We will continue to have our modeler update the dashboard to understand how all of this, the impacts affect the projections. What we've committed to, Preston, is updating the model at a minimum of every 30 days. We'll continue to monitor it, and if there is a substantial change, then we'll update it sooner. The bottom line is we have to understand the impacts. The impacts to a reservoir are not immediate when it comes to rainfall. Watersheds are large, and it depends on the soil conditions how quickly that water can get to the watershed. So we'll continue to monitor it, and we will update the dashboard as appropriate.
Thank you, Nick. We have a few questions from the Texas Tribune that I'm going to read to you now from Colleen de Guzman at the Texas Tribune. Would the COO be able to explain where the city currently stands in regard to curtailment for hospitals and schools? In the case of a level 1 emergency, what limits will hospitals and schools have, and what would the variance process look like for them?
Sure, thank you for that question. So we have met with the hospitals stakeholder group and also our community schools and the different ISDs throughout the region. We've explained potential baselines for all of those groups. We've explained the variance process. What they are looking for now is some confirmation on those numbers of the baseline so that they can plan forward. We're committed to working with our schools and our hospitals to ensure that they have the water needed to perform their essential services. The other thing I do want to say is, it's a pleasure talking to both of those groups. The hospitals, by and large, have already made a lot of efforts to reduce, for lack of a better word, discretional water. Certainly our school districts continue to do the same thing, and we've seen a decrease in their water usage. The goal is always to not interrupt essential things like school services or essential hospital services as well.
Okay, this is the second of 3 questions. How have conversations with car wash businesses gone? Would they be able to apply for a variance as well?
Currently in the drought contingency plan, at the date of a level 1 water emergency, it does not allow for car washing. Car washing would be allowed with auxiliary water, which would be water outside of the Corpus Christi water distribution system. That water might be, an example, collected water, rainwater. It might be a well. It might be water coming from another water utility also. But that's the current measure that was voted on and approved. Thank you. Last question from the Texas Tribune. It was mentioned that residents have lowered their water use in recent months. Have there been drops in use by large volume users? I can't comment specifically to every large volume user. What I do know is that they are making significant preparations to deal with allocations. if we get to a potential level 1 water emergency, we are being advised of their efforts, and we've asked for updates on when their alternative sources may come online. But I don't have specific data in front of me right now.
Hey, Nick, Drew Bishop, Channel 6 News. I want to talk a little bit about water bills because I know this was a discussion at City Council on Tuesday, and it's also been something that a lot of people have just been asking me these past couple weeks. Just for starters, do you guys round up or round down on water bills since you see on your bill it's just one number, it's per thousandth? Break that down for me.
Sure. So we bill per 1,000 gallons of water. Our utility billing office always rounds down because we do not want to bill for something that we haven't provided. So we always round down. The other point that I do want to make is what our customers in City of Corpus Christi receive is a utility bill that consists of water, wastewater, gas, and solid waste. And then there's also a street fee on there as well.
And then there's that column on the bill that gives you a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever thousandth gallon that you've used. But the allotment, projected allotment in level 1 would be 5250. So with that allotment, residents continue to ask, are you guys planning on providing more detailed water bills that would bill or show per 100th or per 10th, as opposed to a 7 on my bill, it would say, 6,200 or something to that measure? What are your plans there?
So there's a couple of things that we need to clarify. If we get to a point where we are required and need to have allocations, the allocations will be determined on actual usage. In other words, if it's 4,600 gallons, it'll be actual usage in a month, in a period of a month time frame. And we are working very hard with city staff to develop an online portal for all customers to be able to log in and see how much water they've used so far throughout the months and how much water they may have remaining for the rest of the month. Again, that's a planning tool. We have another meeting tomorrow to go over that, and we are working to develop and roll it out. Ideally, we will be rolling it out sooner than later, just so that people have a better understanding on what they use. Again, this is a good time for planning. This is a planning and preparation period for all of our customers.
So that portal would show, say I use 6,142 gallons a month. Would it say that to the T, or would it say just a 6, like it's shown on the present?
No, we would show actual usage, Drew. Yeah, thank you for that, yeah.
So I want to ask about what was, or we're looking at the city council agenda, item number 14. Motion to determine if city staff is to evaluate a business proposal for future desalination water supply as developed by Axe H2O. Could you give me any details on that desalination project, Axe H2O, and what your communications have been on that side of things?
Communications have been limited. What we have been approached by Axe H2O. They are working to develop a business plan and a proposal for the city. The item in front of council for consideration is simply if city staff should evaluate a forthcoming proposal or not. It's really that simple.
Preston West, Channel 3 News, and we have a question for one of our producers, Laura Sumiko, and she would like to know, why aren't water barrels free? Or is there anything the city can do to help residents that can't afford them? What are they doing on their part as a city to help out? And I also had 2 follow-up questions.
Sure, Preston. So it's important to understand Corpus Christi Water is an enterprise fund. In fact, we're an enterprise fund for water and wastewater. So essentially, all of our water operations is fully funded by every single one of our ratepayers. So we have to utilize, the budget is established on that. We are not funded from any other source outside of potential grants, and in the past year, we've been fortunate to receive a couple of grants from the state. So the operations, we are a balanced budget. There is not extra funds to allocate, and we're fully funded by our ratepayers.
This question is from Bill Churchwell from 3 News as well. Does the city believe that the national news stories finally being done on our water situation will help to push Congress to fund our water projects?
You know, I'm not in a position to comment on future actions of Congress. What I can say is our delegation, our representatives have all been very supportive of our efforts and have been very involved and definitely are doing everything they can to assist and help.
Last question from Michael Gibson as well. If the Evangeline project stays stuck in the court system, what is the city's plan B? Do we bring in desalination barges, or do we drill even more wells along the river?
So, as you know, we're working very hard on our water supply projects, and it's very important to bring those in, not just on time, but ahead of schedule. And like I said earlier, you're seeing some very positive movement in terms of effluent reuse and positive movements in our Nueces County groundwater program. So our key is to continue to move those forward. We do feel strongly that in order to achieve a diversified water supply portfolio, you're going to need an element of seawater desalination for the future.
One more question coming in from Bill Churchwell with 3 News. Have all industry leaders been forthcoming on their usage, and what are their plans for curtailment? Is anyone planning their own desal operation at this point?
What I can talk to with confidence is every one of our large volume users are making plans so that they can confidently meet their allocation amount. All of them have different efforts. A lot of them require reuse within their plant, and that is moving forward. Specific details of their operations and their water supply, I am not aware of. CCW does not operate their business or manage their business. But I do feel very confident that they are making efforts so that they can meet those future allocation amounts.
Hey, Nick, Drew Bishop here again. Last week, I asked Peter what your guys' timeline is as far as determining all the elements of the plan for level 1 water emergency, curtailments, things of that nature. Now that kind of assumed that on Tuesday we would have that first reading vote of the allotment percentage, and that vote was tabled. So when Peter told me, he said hopefully by the end of May we have all those elements in place for a level 1 water emergency plan. Has that vote being delayed, is that delaying your guys' timeline? Can you give me an updated timeline on what your goal is to develop or approve all the elements of a level 1 water emergency plan?
Yeah, sure, Drew. So we are very committed in continuing to work with council to meet that same time frame as the city manager said, to have everything by the end of May. Our next item, we have many meetings scheduled, but our next item at council regarding that is projected to be May 12th. And we'll keep you updated, but there's a lot of work that we continue to do and a lot of progress we've made. We'll continue to work with our mayor and our council to ensure that we can continue to move forward.
Just a quick question from our newsroom that Stephanie Molina had brought to my attention this morning. She asked about laundromats, and I know you guys mentioned you've been in communication with hospitals, schools, places that have essential services. Do you consider laundromats to be essential services? Have you been in contact with any of those partners? Any information you can give me on that front?
Sure. So a laundromat would be considered a commercial customer, so that an individual baseline will be developed for them. Once the methodology is approved, we can individually contact those customers, get them their baseline so that they can review it closely and plan.
We do have time for one or two more questions. Are there more questions from media? Okay.
So I do want to thank the city team, the city manager for all of his support and leadership as we continue to work through this process. And we appreciate all of you for the great questions and the continued interaction. Thank you.
And we will have another media briefing next Friday, same time, same place. We thank you all for being here. As a friendly reminder, if media in the room or watching online have questions, you can reach us at communications department at corpuschristitx.gov. And this concludes our briefing today. Thank you.